Imagine for a moment you are sitting across from a woman, and instead of trying to impress her with words, achievements, or how much you can do for her, you simply sit back in your own calmness. You are centered, collected, and not in a rush to prove anything. She looks at you, and without you saying much, she feels something powerful, something that makes her curious, something that makes her lean in. That energy, that unshakable calm, is what truly triggers her desire. Because here's the truth, women are not drawn to chaos, they are drawn to peace that feels strong, steady, and unmovable. A man who radiates calm masculine energy is magnetic without even trying. When you walk into a room and your presence is grounded, people feel it. A woman especially feels it because she is naturally tuned to sense energy. If you're anxious, if you're overthinking, if you're restless, she picks it up instantly. But when you are calm, when you are collected, it sends her a signal that you are not easily shaken. That is the kind of energy that makes her feel safe and secure, and when a woman feels safe in your presence, that is when her desire begins to awaken. Now understand something very important. Calmness does not mean being boring, passive, or quiet all the time. It doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or sit in silence. It means that no matter what is happening around you, you hold your center. You are not running after her for approval. You are not easily rattled if she pulls away for a while, and you are not desperately seeking her attention. Instead, you are rooted in yourself. That rootedness is rare in a world where most men are constantly chasing, proving, and trying to be noticed. The man who can sit comfortably in his calmness stands out effortlessly. Think about it. How many men do you see who lose control the moment something doesn't go their way? They get frustrated, they get emotional, they get reactive. And while they might think they are showing strength, what they're really showing is weakness because it reveals that they cannot control themselves. A woman cannot feel deep desire for a man who cannot control his own state. But the man who can stay composed, who can breathe through situations, who can carry himself with certainty and peace, that man makes her lean in. She begins to trust his energy because his calmness feels like stability. You see, when a woman feels your calmness, she relaxes. She feels she doesn't have to lead, she doesn't have to control, she doesn't have to second-guess your emotions. She can simply lean into your energy, and that is where attraction deepens. Her feminine essence craves to rest in the presence of a man who is unshaken by life. That's when her guard drops and her desire comes alive. Let me make this practical for you. If you are on a date and she tests you by saying something teasing, or even by pulling back, most men get nervous. They over-explain, they get defensive, or they try harder to win her back in that moment. But the man who remains calm, who simply smiles, who doesn't break his frame, communicates something far more powerful. He shows her that he doesn't need her validation, he is not controlled by her reactions, and he will not be swayed by small games. That kind of calm masculine strength makes her desire for him grow deeper, because she knows she cannot easily shake him. Calmness is also about slowing down your energy. Many men move too fast, speak too fast, and rush interactions out of nervousness. But when you slow down, when you take your time, when you pause before you speak, it creates presence. And presence is magnetic. A woman desires a man who is fully present with her, not distracted, not scattered, but grounded in the moment. That presence makes her feel seen, it makes her feel chosen, and it makes her desire you more. But here's the challenge: calmness doesn't come from pretending. You can't fake it because a woman will sense the difference. True calmness comes from inner work, from being rooted in your values, from knowing who you are and what you stand for. When you are living in alignment with yourself, when you trust your own path, that's when calmness becomes natural. You don't need to perform, you don't need to impress, you simply embody it. This is why your calmness is not just about her. It's about you. It's about how you move through life. When you learn to stay calm under pressure, when you stop reacting to every little thing, when you carry yourself with grounded certainty, everything changes. People respect you more, opportunities come to you, and women feel a deep magnetic pull towards you. Because they sense something in you that is rare. They sense strength wrapped in peace. So, the next time you're with a woman, I want you to pay attention not to what you're saying, but to the energy you're bringing. Are you trying to impress? Are you seeking her reaction? Or are you sitting back in your calmness, letting your energy speak louder than your words? Because if you can hold that calmness, if you can radiate that grounded presence, you will notice how her energy shifts. Her eyes soften, her voice lowers, and her body leans closer. She feels the pull because she is drawn to the man who cannot be moved by chaos. And that is the secret. Deep desire is not triggered by loud words or flashy actions. It is triggered by the silent strength of a man who can sit in his calmness and let everything revolve around him. When we talk about triggering deep desire in a woman, one of the most overlooked aspects is emotional leadership. Most men think leadership is only about providing financially, making decisions, or taking the lead in external situations. While those things matter, what truly moves a woman at the deepest level is your ability to lead emotionally. Because here's the truth: women live in their emotions. Their emotions rise and fall, shift and change, and a man who cannot handle that will never hold her desire for long. But when you become the kind of man who can lead her emotionally, you awaken something inside her that makes her feel safe, desired, and deeply connected to you. Now, let me make this very clear. Emotional leadership does not mean controlling her or silencing her feelings. It's not about dismissing her emotions or telling her to stop being dramatic. That is not strength, that is weakness disguised as control. True emotional leadership is about being able to hold space for her emotions without being swallowed by them. It means you can remain calm, steady, and firm even when she is upset, emotional, or testing you. Instead of being reactive, you guide the energy of the moment with strength and clarity. That's what makes her trust you, and trust is what fuels desire. Think of it this way: when a storm comes, everything around it shakes. The trees bend, the air is heavy, and there's noise everywhere. But imagine in the middle of that storm, there is a strong oak tree rooted deep into the ground. No matter how hard the wind blows, the tree stands tall. That's exactly what a woman feels when she's around a man who leads emotionally. She can have her storm, but you remain unshaken. She might test you with her emotions. She might create drama. She might express fears. But instead of fighting her storm or running away from it, you remain steady. You don't collapse and you don't try to escape. You guide her back into peace. That's leadership. This leadership is especially important because women often test without even realizing it. When she gets emotional or dramatic, it's not always because of what you did. Sometimes it's simply her way of checking if your energy is strong enough to handle hers. If you crumble, if you get angry, or if you run away, she loses trust in you. But if you can stay calm, breathe, and guide her back into balance, her respect and her desire for you grow instantly. She realizes she has a man who doesn't get thrown off by emotions, and that makes her feel safe to be fully feminine around you. Practical example: imagine she's upset because you didn't text her back quickly enough. Most men would instantly start apologizing excessively, defending themselves, or even getting angry that she's being too much. That's not leadership, that's reaction. A man who leads emotionally doesn't get defensive. He listens, he acknowledges her feelings, but he doesn't lower his frame. He might simply say, "I hear you. I was focused on something, but I'm here now." His tone is calm, his energy is stable, and instead of getting dragged into her whirlwind, he brings her back into his grounded presence. That is emotional leadership in action. It's not about fixing every problem she has. It's about being the anchor when she feels overwhelmed. Because the feminine energy is always in motion, it flows, it changes, it feels, and the masculine energy, when it's strong, doesn't resist that flow, it directs it. You don't stop her from feeling, you simply don't drown in those feelings, you give them direction. That's why women desire men who know how to lead emotionally, because it allows them to relax into their feminine fully. Think about how powerful this is. When a woman knows you can handle her emotions without collapsing, she feels free to be herself around you. She doesn't have to hold back her feelings. She doesn't have to suppress her feminine side. And when she feels safe to let go, that's when her attraction and desire deepen. Because deep inside, every woman craves a man she can trust emotionally, a man who can say, "I've got this, no matter how you feel right now, you can express yourself and I won't break." That creates a magnetic pull she can't resist. But remember, emotional leadership starts with you. You cannot lead her emotions if you cannot lead your own. If you lose control every time something upsets you, if you collapse under stress, if you let life dictate your state, then you can't be the leader she desires. The first step is mastering yourself, your emotions, your reactions, your inner state. Once you can hold yourself steady, then you can lead her too. So, the next time she becomes emotional, I want you to pause. Don't jump to defend yourself. Don't try to fix everything instantly, and don't run away from her energy. Just hold your ground, listen, stay calm, and bring her back into your frame. Guide the moment instead of being guided by it. The more you practice this, the more natural it will become, and the more she will feel her desire for you grow. Because she'll know she has found something rare, a man who can lead her emotionally without fear, without control, but with strength. One of the most powerful truths about attraction is this: a woman's deep desire is never triggered by a man who is desperate for her approval. The moment you start chasing, over-explaining, or constantly seeking validation, you automatically lower your value in her eyes. Desire does not come from neediness, it comes from confidence. And not just any kind of confidence, the kind that is quiet, unshakable, and not dependent on whether she praises you, texts you back quickly, or gives you constant attention. When you carry yourself with the energy of someone who doesn't need her to choose you, but instead chooses her from a place of strength, that's when her attraction skyrockets. Think about this for a second. If a man is constantly trying to prove himself, constantly asking, "Do you like me? Are we okay? Did I upset you? Do you love me as much as I love you?" What does that communicate? It tells her that his sense of worth depends on her. It tells her that he is not grounded in himself, that he needs her approval to feel good enough. And the truth is, no woman can feel deep desire for a man who places his self-worth in her hands. She might feel sympathy for him, she might even like him as a person, but that raw, magnetic pull of desire will not be there. Now contrast that with a man who is secure within himself. He doesn't rush to prove anything. He doesn't need her to constantly remind him that he is valuable. He knows his worth with or without her approval. When she tests him, when she delays her response, when she pulls back a little, he doesn't panic. He doesn't collapse into fear. He simply stays rooted because his value was never dependent on her behavior in the first place. That kind of confidence is rare, and that's exactly why it's so irresistible. This doesn't mean arrogance. Some men mistake this for being cold or acting superior, but that's just another form of insecurity. True confidence is calm. It's the energy of "I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I don't need to beg for validation." That kind of presence makes a woman feel like she's in the company of a man who chooses her, not one who clings to her. And women deeply desire to be chosen by a man who doesn't need them but wants them. That difference is everything. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're on a date and she makes a playful remark to test you. Maybe she says, "You're not really my type. I usually go for taller guys." Now, most men would instantly feel insecure. They'd start over-explaining, making jokes about their height, or trying even harder to prove that they're good enough. But the man who is confident without needing validation simply smiles, maybe even teases her back, and continues the conversation without breaking his frame. In that moment, she feels that his confidence doesn't shake just because she challenged him. That's when she begins to feel that deep spark of desire, because she realizes she can't control his sense of self-worth. And this is something you need to understand clearly. Women are wired to test, not because they're cruel, but because their feminine nature is drawn to strength. If she can shake you easily, if she can control your emotions by withholding attention or throwing a challenge, she knows you're not the man she can fully surrender to. But if you remain calm, if you remain confident, if you don't lose yourself seeking her approval, she will feel a magnetic pull toward you that she cannot explain. Confidence without validation is also about how you live your life outside of her. Do you have your own mission, your own goals, your own passions? Or are you making her the center of your world? Because the man who makes a woman his whole world loses his edge. She becomes his only source of happiness, his only source of identity, and that pressure actually pushes her away. But when you have your own life, your own purpose, and she is a part of it, not the entirety of it, that is when she feels the strongest desire for you. She sees you as a man with direction, with strength, with purpose, and that draws her deeper into your orbit. Confidence is also shown in the small things, the way you walk into a room, the way you speak without rushing, the way you hold eye contact without looking away nervously, the way you sit comfortably in silence instead of filling every moment with nervous words. All of these little signals tell her that you are a man who doesn't seek external validation to feel enough. And those signals, even if they are subtle, communicate to her subconscious that you are valuable. The beautiful thing about this kind of confidence is that it cannot be faked. You can't just act like you don't care, because that energy will still come off as insecure. The only way to build it is to actually stop needing external approval. To start living from the truth that you are enough with or without her. That doesn't mean you don't appreciate her. It doesn't mean you don't value her. But it does mean that your foundation doesn't crumble if she pulls away for a moment. And when she feels that, when she sees that you are steady regardless of her behavior, her desire for you grows stronger than ever. So the next time you catch yourself chasing validation, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from strength? Or am I acting from fear of losing her? If it's fear, that's the moment to pull back into your center. Because the man who is grounded, who chooses without needing, who stands tall in his worth, that is the man who triggers a woman's deepest desire. Desire is not born in predictability. It's not born when everything is easy, when everything is handed over, when there is no tension left in the dynamic. A woman feels deep desire when there is a spark of uncertainty, when there's something about you she can't fully figure out, when she senses that you are not completely within her grasp. This is why mystery and challenge are so powerful. They keep her craving more. The moment she knows everything about you, the moment she feels there's no chase, no edge, no layers left to discover, her excitement fades. But when you carry yourself with mystery, when you have your own life, your own passions, your own world that she doesn't fully control, you trigger her deepest craving to keep coming closer. Mystery doesn't mean playing games. It's not about lying, hiding things, or being manipulative. True mystery is natural. It comes from the fact that you are a man with depth, a man who doesn't reveal everything at once, a man who lives a life so rich and full that she can only experience pieces of it at a time. That space between what she knows and what she doesn't yet know keeps her intrigued. It keeps her wondering, who is he really? What's on his mind? What else is there to him that I haven't seen yet? That curiosity becomes desire. Think about it. When you watch a movie and you already know the ending, does it excite you? No. The thrill comes from the unknown, from the anticipation of what's going to happen next. The same is true in relationships. If you are too available, if you reveal everything too quickly, if you make her the center of your world and give her no space to wonder about you, the desire dies. But if you give her glimpses, if you let her discover you slowly, if you keep her guessing just a little, then she remains hooked because she wants more of you. Challenge plays into this as well. A woman cannot desire a man who is too easy. If she knows that no matter what she does, you'll always be there waiting, always available, always saying yes, she loses interest. It's not because she wants drama, it's because her feminine energy craves to be drawn into your strength. And strength is shown when you don't hand yourself over too easily. When she realizes she has to earn your time, your attention, and your devotion, she values it more. The challenge makes it meaningful. Now, don't mistake this for being unavailable or distant. That's not attractive either. What I'm talking about is having standards. It's about not bending over backwards every time she calls, not dropping your life just to please her, not giving up your passions just to fit into her schedule. When you keep living your life with purpose and direction, you naturally create challenge. She realizes she has to fit into your world rather than you abandoning everything to fit into hers. That makes her feel both respect and desire because she sees you as a man with a strong backbone. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're texting a woman and she sends a message late at night. Most men, even if they're half asleep, would instantly reply, desperate not to lose the chance. But the man who values himself doesn't always respond immediately. He responds when it makes sense, when it's aligned with his own rhythm. He doesn't do it to play a game, he does it because he respects his own time. That tiny act communicates volumes. She realizes she can't control him, that he won't jump every time she calls, and that makes her chase harder. This is also why unpredictability is attractive. If she knows exactly what you're going to say, exactly what you're going to do, she gets bored. But when you surprise her, when you bring new experiences, when you don't always follow the same routine, she feels alive around you. It could be as simple as taking her somewhere unexpected, switching up how you spend time together, or showing a different side of yourself she hasn't seen before. Those small moments of unpredictability keep the energy alive and keep her desire burning, and here's the deeper truth: mystery and challenge awaken her feminine. When she doesn't fully have you, when she feels there's still more to discover, when she senses that you are not completely tamed, she leans further into her feminine energy. She becomes more curious, more playful, more drawn in. That polarity between her chasing and you holding your ground creates the spark of passion. But again, this only works when it's authentic. If you pretend to be mysterious, if you fake being busy, if you act like you don't care when you really do, she will feel the disconnect. Women are incredibly sensitive to authenticity. The only way to embody mystery and challenge in a natural way is to actually live a full life. Have your own passions, have your own friends, have your own direction. Don't reveal every detail right away. Let her see you in layers over time. That's what keeps her intrigued. So, understand this. Desire doesn't come from being predictable. It doesn't come from being too available. And it doesn't come from making her your entire world. It comes from the tension between what she knows and what she doesn't yet know. Between what she has of you and what she still wants to earn. That space creates craving, and when you embody that naturally, when you live your life with depth, with standards, with purpose, you become the mystery she can't stop chasing. At the core of all attraction lies polarity, the dance between masculine and feminine energy. When polarity is strong, desire flows effortlessly. When it weakens, desire fades. This is something most men misunderstand. They think being nice, accommodating, or overly agreeable will make a woman want them more, but in reality, it strips away the very tension that fuels her desire. What truly unlocks passion in a woman is when you stay deeply rooted in your masculine energy, because that naturally pulls out her feminine essence. The more you embody your masculinity, the more she feels safe and free to lean into her femininity, and that is what creates powerful, lasting desire. Masculine energy isn't about being aggressive, loud, or controlling. It's not about dominating or overpowering. Real masculine energy is calm, grounded, and purpose-driven. It's the steady force that doesn't waver in the face of chaos, the presence that doesn't collapse under pressure, the energy that provides direction without needing to shout about it. When a man carries this kind of energy, a woman instantly feels the polarity. Her feminine side awakens in his presence because she senses she doesn't need to lead, she doesn't need to control, she can simply relax into her natural essence. And when she relaxes, her desire for him begins to overflow. The problem in so many relationships today is that polarity gets lost. Men step out of their masculine by becoming overly accommodating, overly emotional, or too focused on seeking approval. Women then step out of their feminine because they feel they cannot trust his strength. So they begin to take the lead. The roles reverse, and while there might still be companionship, the desire disappears. That spark only returns when each person steps back into their natural energy, when he fully embraces his masculine, and she feels safe to surrender into her feminine. Let me make this more practical. Imagine a woman comes home after a stressful day, her emotions are all over the place. If you meet her with the same energy, if you become emotional, reactive, or even try to outdo her in intensity, you've stepped into her space. There's no polarity there, but if you remain calm, if you stay grounded, if you listen and hold space without being rattled, something shifts. She begins to soften. She feels her emotions melting in your presence because your masculine strength allows her to return to her feminine. That shift in energy is what reignites her desire. She feels it not because of what you said, but because of who you are being in that moment. Polarity also comes from direction. The masculine is defined by purpose, by vision, by moving forward with clarity. A man who drifts through life without goals, without a sense of mission, cannot create deep desire. Because feminine energy is drawn to movement, to progress, to direction. When she sees you moving forward with determination, when she feels your commitment to your path, she feels pulled into your world. She doesn't just desire you for who you are, but for what you represent: strength, stability, and focus. That kind of energy makes her want to align with you, because it inspires her to step deeper into her own feminine flow. But here's the most important part. Polarity is not something you force, it's something you embody. If you try to act more masculine, if you put on a role or a performance, it won't work. A woman can sense the difference between authenticity and pretense immediately. The only way to create real polarity is to actually live in alignment with your masculine essence. That means taking ownership of your life, standing firm in your values, being consistent in your actions, and refusing to abandon your purpose for comfort or approval. When you live that way, you naturally radiate an energy that draws her into desire without you needing to try. Mystery and challenge, which we spoke about earlier, flow naturally from this. A man in his masculine doesn't hand himself over too easily, because he is already committed to something greater than just her attention. He is on his path, and while he chooses her, he never abandons his mission for her. That balance keeps her leaning into him, because she senses she cannot fully control him. She feels that tension between her feminine pull and his masculine direction, and that tension fuels passion. In the same way, confidence without validation also connects here. The man who is rooted in his masculine doesn't seek to be reassured constantly because his validation comes from within. He doesn't need her approval to feel strong because his strength is already anchored in who he is. And that kind of man is the one she feels the deepest desire for, because his energy calls her to step into her femininity more fully than she ever could on her own. This polarity even shows up in the smallest gestures, the way you guide her through a crowded street by placing your hand gently on her back, the way you decide where to go instead of always asking her what she wants, the way you hold eye contact without hesitation. These little moments tell her, I am here, I am leading, I am steady, and every time she feels that, her feminine relaxes into your masculine and her desire grows stronger. When a woman feels polarity with a man, she doesn't just like him, she craves him, she feels an irresistible pull towards him, one that logic cannot explain. She may even try to resist it with her mind, but her body and her emotions will betray her, because polarity is not about words or logic. It's about energy. And when that energy is alive, passion stays alive. So understand this. If you want to trigger deep, lasting desire in a woman, don't try to impress her with material things or constant attention. Instead, embody your masculine fully, stand firm in your strength, live with purpose, and create that magnetic polarity that pulls her into her feminine. That is what unlocks the kind of passion that doesn't fade, but grows stronger with time.